name is Samson Wong. I am the graphic designer here at IronSpeed. Okay. First thing, what is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Stylesheets, and the Stylesheets part refers to the text files where you keep your style definitions. And the idea there is to separate the look and feel of your site, the styles, from the actual layout, so that you don't, whenever you make style changes, you don't have to rebuild your pages, you don't have to redeploy your pages, okay? And also, any style that you define in these style sheets can be reused throughout your whole application. So you just make one change in the style sheet and you redeploy that. Every page of your site can have access to those new styles, okay? Okay, and the C part, the cascading part, refers to the rules that govern which styles takes effect. For example, if you have 2 or more style sheets. Okay. Okay, let's do this. I am making this larger. How's this, guys? Okay. As I was saying, so the cascading part refers to the rules that determine which styles take effect. If you have, say, 2 style sheets with the same color style for a particular text, the question is which one takes effect. And the rule there in general is that the last definition you declare is the one that takes effect. Okay. So if you're new to CSS, there's a good a reference tool on the web called W3 Schools, and on that site, I have a link there. It tells you what properties are available to you in order to style your application. So there's a link called CSS Property References. Okay, if we go there, you'll see a complete list of all the properties you can change in your to affect look and feel, right? So you'll have properties for color, background, borders, and fonts, right? And if you click on any particular one, right? Let's say we'll scroll down a little bit, and we'll say let's look at let's look at font family, okay? If you go to the particular property, you'll see it'll tell you what this property does, right? So basically, it sets the font for the element. And it also tells you what browsers support that particular property, right? So it looks like here for font family, all the major browsers support it. And this is important because you want to make sure that the browsers that your user base uses, can actually see what you're trying to style, okay? And then finally, it'll give you examples of actually how to use the property, okay? And also, it'll give you the set of available values, right? So if it's in italics, this is actually a cue for you to add in the exact fonts that you want to use. Other times, there'll be like multiple properties. Like if you set something like border, it'll have 3 values. For example, let me see. Okay. So like border, it'll tell you that you need like a border width, a border style, and then a color. Okay. So again, that's a good reference to check out all the properties that are available to you. Okay. In terms of targeting elements, how do you apply these styles to the actual elements on your page? Well, there's 2 main ways. One of them is to actually target the HTML element tags in your page, right? So if we go back to, if we go back to the CSS3 website, okay, you'll see that you can just name the tag that's available to you, right? So a body tag would be available to you, a H1 tag, or a P tag. And then you would just list as many as you like just property and value pairs, right? So for H1, which is used to for big titles, right? You can change the color to orange, and you can align it center, right? So this is one way to target. However, the targeting is not granular, right? It applies to all H1s or all P tags, right? And that may not be exactly what you need. You might need to be more specific, right? So the second way to target HTML elements is with classes. And then the way to do that is you use this dot notation. So instead of just having, say, a name of a tag, a tag there, you would actually have a class name with a dot preceding it, and then again, a list of all the properties and values that you want to change, okay? Let's see, let's go on. So how does Designer use styles, right? So let's take a look at that. I'll just go ahead and create a new app, okay? I'll open the latest version of Designer, 10.2.1. Okay. Okay. Full size this. Okay, I'll create a new app. Click the button, and the application wizard pops up. The first step that's available is the page style step, and this step allows you to choose a particular theme for your application, right? And it's divided into two groups, the classic styles and the modern styles. The classic styles have been around for quite a while. They're perfectly fine. However, a lot of the look and feel was created using images. For example, the rounded corners of buttons and the 3D effects, right? We used images to create it because at that time, CSS was not available. But now, with CSS 3, we can achieve all that stuff, all those looks, without images. So the modern styles tend to be lighter. So we definitely recommend you use the modern styles if you plan to customize your themes, okay? Let's see, so let's just go ahead and create one theme. I'll just pick Chablis, right? I like this blue color, okay? I'll use the sample database that's provided by Designer, Southwind. And for the pages step, I just want a few tables where there's data I can style and maybe some images. So I'll just pick just a few tables. Let's do that. That's good. I have no virtual primary keys. The English language is okay for me. And then I'll just call my app CSS Webinar. Right. Let's do that. Done. Okay. Okay. While that's building, let's go back. When Designer creates the app for you, there's a so actually I called it CSS Webinar, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. If you look into that folder, there's two folders that's actually relevant in terms of look and feel. First is the images folder, right? This is the folder where all your logos, image buttons, there's even this is the update icon that's available. So this is all the images that you use to achieve your look and feel. The other important directory is the app themes directory, okay? This directory is created by .NET for you automatically, right? And within that folder, the subfolder is a folder for Chablis or whatever theme you picked earlier, right? So back here, if you picked Malbec or any other theme, that will be the name of the folder, okay? Within the Chablis subfolder are actually two style sheets, right? Style sheets have the file types .css, but they're basically text files. There's nothing. You can open it in any text editor you like, right? I like VI. How many of you like VI? Let Jill know in the chat. So basically, it's a text file that contains all the styles that are required to achieve the look of Chablis, right? I know this is a little hard to read just like this, right? But we've tried to organize the styles logically, right? So there's a group for the page headers. There's a group for the theme buttons, right? And then there's a group for, say, the multi-level menus, right? So, but this is not a really good way to figure out what styles are used in your application. A better way is actually, I'll show you that in a second. It's called the browser inspector, okay? So minimize this for now. So let's see. Okay. Okay, so there's some VI users out there, so that's great. I like that. Okay, so how do you actually add the CSS classes to your pages, right? So let's take a look at that. In Designer, there's something called a design mode, right? And basically, it's a table layout, a grid layout of all the elements of your page, right? So since I was on the Show Categories table page, this actually shows me the fields that are in that page, right? So I can click around, and if I look at the Cell Editor tab here, I can see that, okay, there's some content there. There's a field label, but more importantly, there's a class attached to that table, right, to that cell. It's called Table Cell Label, and that tells me that any content within this cell will be styled by the properties that are in this class, Table Cell Label, okay? And which now leads us to, how do you actually look at the styles, right? In the past, we used to do view source, right? We'll look at this, and we go, oh my God, this is like so hard to figure out what's going on, right? So what the browser folks have done for us is they've given us this inspector, right? And all the major browsers have it. It's invoked a little differently depending on what browser you're using, but basically it's like you go to developer and some sort of inspector. It could be developer tools inspector. For those guys who like keyboard shortcuts, it's just F12, right? So if I click F12, it disappears. If I click F12, it reappears, right? And okay, cool. And let's see. When you invoke the inspector, there's this pane that shows up at the bottom of your screen, okay? The left half is actually the HTML for your page, right? You can expand these cursors or arrows, and you can expand the page to see the actual HTML. More importantly, on the right-hand side here, these are the actual styles that are used on the page, right, as seen by the browser. So you see here, for example, pback. This is the page. This is like the largest container on the page, and then it sets, background colors, font family, and padding, and so on. What you can do with this portion here is you can enable and disable different properties so that you can see the effects, right? So this is kind of like a test for what happens when you change things, right? So there's a property called padding top, right? And what that does is it shifts this main page down. It says 86 pixels, right? Shifts it down. So you can see if you disable it, what will happen to it. Okay, it appears behind the menu. So you can enable and disable any property, right? You can also change the values of these properties. So let's say I want to change the color of the header, right? What you do is you want to inspect it first. So we need to pick the item itself, right? So there's this icon here with this cursor and box. If you click on that, it lights up sky blue, and then you can start mousing over different elements of the page, right? So you can mouse over this image, and it will tell you that it's an image with this long ID and also this image drop shadow, that's the actual class that's applied to that image. You can look at these values, right? And you can see it's contained in a TD, a cell, and the class for it is table cell value, okay? So if you want to say, let's just inspect one of these, right? If you click on it, now the HTML portion, this layout portion, shows you exactly where you're at, and it'll show you the class and the contents, right? Beverages here. And on the right-hand side, it'll say, it'll show you the color and all the attributes, right? So let's go ahead and change the color, right? So let's say instead of the color gray for my text, I want it red, right? If you know hex, it's like, FF0000, or you can just change, you can just say red, right? That's a lot easier. So you change that, and you see that that color is applied to every element on the page that's styled by table cell value. So it looks like, all these elements have table cell value as the class, okay? You can change, you can try out the font size, right? Let's change it to like 23, and then you can see what happens, right? You can also add other attributes that are not listed here, right? You can just go like, say, I want a border around that cell, right? You can just do this. You can add a border. We say 2px for the thickness of the border. We use solid for the type of the border. And then the color, let's make it blue this time, okay? Oops, let's see. Oh, I typed something wrong. Okay, so blue, you do not use a hashtag, so it's just blue. And now you see that there's a border around this. So in general, that's how you use this. This pane is like a test of what your changes would be. These are not permanent changes, right? Whatever you add here are not permanent. If you actually want to commit it, then you add it to your styles.css. And if, to show you, I just do a refresh, right? If I do a refresh, all the changes are gone, right? So if I wanted to make the changes, I'll add it to styles.css. Let's see. Oh, yes. I wanted to talk about the priority of the style sheets, right? If we do a right-click, we see that the question is, how does this page know what styles to use, right? So for every style sheet that you have in that app themes folder right here, .NET will add a link to it, right? It will add, for example, here, it's a link to basestyles.css, and then it will also add a link to styles.css. And as I mentioned earlier, the last style that gets declared takes precedence. So anything you add to styles overrides anything you have in base styles, okay? So also, you can have multiple files, multiple style sheets in this folder, right? So if I say I copy styles.css and paste it, and let's say I rename it to my styles, right? My styles.css. I can come to this the page again, and if I do a refresh, I can look at the view source again, and I'll see that now not only do I have the original, right, base styles and styles.css, I also have a link to my styles.css. So again, and again, it's listed in alphabetical order, right? So if you need to group your styles in separate style sheets, that's perfectly fine. Add as many as you like here. And these will, any one on bottom will overwrite what's above it, okay? So, okay, so let's see. Okay, it's temporary. Okay, so actually let's start doing some examples, right? Okay, so I'll start with like background colors and background images and so on, and we'll start modifying the page header, okay? So the first thing to do, again, is to inspect that element, right? We have to figure out what class is used in the header, right? So if I click the button, so I start mousing over it, I'll see that, okay, the logo is part of the header, but that doesn't look like the color's there. The color looks like it spans a lot more, right? So I can go out, I can look at the individual cells, but still it doesn't look like that's it, right? So if I go further, now it looks like, hey, it selected the whole top area. So I'll click that to select it. I see that the class that's associated with the header is PCT, right? So even in HTML, you'll see, okay, here's the logo, and so on. Okay. On the right-hand side, we see that we see our properties for the header, right, for PCT. And specifically, we want to change the background color. This tells us also that this style is defined in base styles.css on line 148, right? So if I come back to my base styles and I go to 148, let's see, 148. Okay, I see, okay, here's my style, right? So if I wanted to change the background color, what I can do is I'll just copy this from base styles, and I'll paste it into, you can paste it to either one, but let's just do style since it's there. Okay. Okay. Paste, okay. I'll close off the style decoration with the bracket, and let's say I change the color to, let's change it to the same orange as the theme buttons, right? So I'll just say orange, right, for now. Okay, and save. Okay, and again, because styles don't, if you make changes to the style sheet, you don't make any changes to layout, you don't need to rebuild and so on. All you need to do is come here and refresh the page, right? And whoa, look, the header is now orange. If we go ahead and inspect it now, right, we'll see that, okay, it's still using PCT, but this time it's getting the property from styles.css. And it's also telling us that the background color that was originally defined in base styles, hey, it's crossed out. It means it's overridden. So that's how you know which styles are in effect. You can look here and see that. Okay. Let's say you want, instead of a color, you want an image up top, right? Let's see, I coincidentally have an image on my desktop. It's of a nice sunset, right? Let's say we want to use this image instead of the color, right? Okay, so what you do is, if you have any images, I'll just copy this, and remember, the other folder, the images folder, is where we keep all our images, right? That makes sense. So I'll just paste it here. Where's paste? Okay, there. And it's called sunset.jpg, right? And I know that in order to change the image, there's a property that I can use. It's called background image, right? And the value it takes is a URL. The path is relative to the style sheet itself. So if the style sheet is in Chablis, this Chablis folder, I have to go up 2 folders and then down to images, right? So, okay. So I know that it's go up 2 levels and then down to images, and I reference sunset.jpg, okay? And since I don't need the color anymore, what I can do is comment it out. So in CSS, the way to comment things out is just to use the / asterisk notation. Okay. Okay. Save. Okay. I come back here to the browser. Okay, and I refresh. Okay. Okay. Now I see that. Okay, it looks like something's there. I can't really tell, right? I can't really tell because the header is too narrow, too short, right? So is there any property that I can change to make it taller? Well, I'll look at PCT, and I scan it, and I go, I see this height. Well, it looks like maybe I can change the height, right? What happens if I change it here? Like if I add, make it 246. Okay, so it looks like height, the change of height is that easy, right? You just change this value. So 200 seems a little too much, maybe. Maybe let's make it 146. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Also, I go like, I don't like how this tiles, right? I just wanted one image, right? So you can add there's a property called background repeat, and here are your available ones. We say, hey, no repeat, and then now your image just appears one time. But also, it's kind of bad. It's like it's too small, right? So maybe I want to stretch the image. Okay, there's another attribute called background size, right? And you can give it like how much to stretch it width-wise, 100%, and height-wise, 100%. So this fills up however tall and however wide your header is. Okay. Okay. So, and then remember these because I'm just testing these changes here. These are not committed, right? If I do a refresh, they'll be gone, right? So they'll be gone. So if I want to commit it, I go back to my styles .css, right? Okay, and I actually add those changes there. So I added a background repeat, right? I didn't want it to repeat, so I say no repeat. Okay, and I also wanted to stretch the image, so I go background size 100%, 100%. Okay, save. Oh, and one thing, I forgot too. I also wanted to add a height, right? I changed the height, right, to 146px. Okay, I do a save. Okay, and I come back here and refresh, and now, okay, the changes are here, right? I refresh, still here. Okay, so if I inspect it, I'll see. Let's see. Inspect this. Okay, I inspect it. I see now. I have all these styles that I added to PCT in styles.css, okay? And then the only styles in PCT that overrode was the height. That's why I don't need. Okay, so it's as simple as that. You can also look at, the logo looks like it's kind of hard to read against this sunset here. So how do I fix that? Okay, so let's inspect it, right? Let's inspect it, mouse over. I see that the logo is an image, and it's contained within the TD P with a class called P headers L, right? So I see, okay, it looks like, there's a padding left attribute that doesn't really seem to help, right? I can click that and see what happens, but there's a vertical align middle property. I click it, and nothing seems to happen. But actually, what I can do is I can change this, right? I think middle is the default, but I can change this to something like top, and it'll get us closer to where we want the logo. It seems like it's too close to the top, right? So what I can do is add a little padding to it. Okay, so say 20 pixels, right? Okay, so that looks better. And then we can commit this to our style sheets, right? So the class that I changed was P header L, so just add it. And I changed vertical, align top, and then padding top 20. Good. Okay, so I do a refresh, and we're good. Okay. Okay, let's go to another example. Okay, so let's try to do some font changes, font size, font family, and so on. Okay, and let's use the panel title, right? Oh, I'm sorry. One thing. Notice that because I increased the height of the header, now it's actually obscuring the top of the page, and it's obscuring my menu, right? So looks like, how do I get that back, right? It looks like, so what I can do first is I can hide this header first, right? I can do something like add a temporary class, right? Just say display none, okay? And it's gone for now, right? So it looks like this menu, if I inspect it, I look at the properties, it looks like it was fixed at this 46 pixels from the top, right? So, and that accommodated that short initial header. But now that I've added like 100 pixels to the header, I need to move the menu down, right? this fixed menu. Also, I need to move this panel down as well, right? This panel for the categories table, right? So okay, so first thing, let's inspect the menu, right? Here's the menu. And it looks like the top is 146, so let's just change that, right? Let's just add our own override. A PCMC. And top, instead of 46, now we move it down 146, okay? Come back here and refresh. Okay, the menu is further down now. Okay, so how about the page itself? By the way, I know that the page was governed by this style called pback, so I'll just change this really fast. If I look at it, I see that the padding from the top originally was 86 pixels, and I'll just move that down 100 as well, right? So add styles, oops, pback, padding, top 186, right? I added 100 to the image, so I added 100 to this. Come here and do refresh. So cool. So now the page itself is 186 from the top, and it's totally in view now. So okay, so looks good. Okay, so back to let's see. Back to changing the fonts, right? So here's a category title, right? So how can we change the fonts of this guy? Again, you start with inspecting it. We need to find out what style is in effect. Okay, so it looks like the style is this thing called DHT, and I have a color here. I have a font family with this Open Sans font, Arial and Verdana. Everybody knows what Arial and Verdana is, right? These are the system fonts that are available on everywhere. But what's this Open Sans? Well, we figured that Arial and Verdana are, since it's so ubiquitous, it's a little boring, right? So we started using Google Fonts in order to liven things up, right? And so if you, let's just go to the Google Font site, right? Let's see. Here, any fonts that you have here, you can actually add it to your site. All you have to do is import it, right? So for these fonts, you can choose anything, right? Any type of category of font, and you can, change. You can pick fonts with different levels of thicknesses and slants and so on. So let's just pick something here. Let's say, let's see. Okay, let's say I like this guy called Droid Serif, right? And I want to import this into my application. How do I do that? There's this quick use button that you click, and you can choose just the normal font if you want, or you can add a bold as well and say an italic, right? And if you scroll down, there's this import tab that allows you to actually acquire this font from Google. It's free, so you can just copy this, okay, and you can add it to your styles.css. The way to add it is it has to be the first definition, basically at the top of the page before any of the other style declarations, okay? And to actually use it, you just, use Droid Serif in your style sheet, right? So if I come back to, let's see, okay. Let's see. So if I come back here and I know that DHT is my style, I'll just go ahead and copy that from base styles on line 735. Okay. 735. Okay. So I'll copy this from there. I want to change. Let's say let's copy the whole thing. We can customize all of it if we like. So I'll copy that, paste it to my styles page, right? And then instead of Open Sans, right, I'll just use what was there earlier, right? It's Droid Serif. Okay. And let's say I'll also increase the font size. Let's make it 26. Okay. Okay. If I come back to here and I do a refresh, now you see that, okay, it's actually using the font from Google. If I inspect it again, okay, I see, hey, here's the font now that I'm using. Okay. What else can we change? Okay. There's this thing called text transform. You can convert all your characters into uppercase if you want. So you can do something like this. Right. And it automatically turns it, right? Okay. Back and forth. Okay. And then let's see. Okay. Okay, there's a property called text decoration you can use. If you've never heard of text decoration, we can do something. We can actually look it up, right? We can look up, and this is what you would do if you're not familiar with the particular property, right? Just do text decoration. Usually the search results, the first or second search result is to W3 schools, right? And you'll see that, okay, this is what you can do to it. You can do like overline, a line through, a strike through, or underline. So if I wanted to change that in, if I wanted to change that, I can say, I can add a new style called text decoration and just say underline, okay? Okay. In general, if you plan not to use the properties that we copied from base styles, you can just, and you don't want to override it, you can just comment them out, right? Or you can delete them. So we were only interested in the font family, the font size, and the text decoration, right? So come back here, do a refresh, and now, okay, so now if I inspect it, it has an underline to it. So that's basically how you change fonts. You can add other things. You can add drop shadows and so on to it, right? There's something like there's something called text shadow that you can add, right? Shadow. And then there's different parameters. The parameters are how much the shadow is offset horizontally, so it'll be 2px. How much is it offset vertically? I would say 3px. And then how much of a blur is in the shadow? We'll say 4. Who cares? And then the actual color. Let's say gray. Right? Actually, let's say red, so it'll be easy to see. Okay. I come here. You can see. Okay, so there's actually a shadow there. So let's see. So it looks like maybe the blur is too pronounced. I can make it less pronounced, make it 2px, and take a look. Okay. Okay, so it's a little better. That's still not nice. Right? So change it to a 1 maybe. Okay. Okay. And you can change the color. So usually drop shadows are black, and so you can see what happens. Okay. Black. Okay. Not nice, but you get the idea. You can, there's all these properties you can do, you can apply to text. And again, the best reference is this site, right? You can look at all these text things you can change. Probably not enough time to go through it now, but here's a list of what you can check. Okay. Next example. Okay, let's do some theme button changes. Okay. So let's say that you feel that, oh, these buttons are too sharp edge, right? It's like too squarish, right? I want it more roundish, right? What properties can I use to change that? Okay, first I want to, again, inspect that item, right? So it looks like it's a, oops, sorry, let's see. Okay, it looks like it's a div with a class called theme button, right? And if I look around, I can see that there's something called a border radius, and it's at 2 pixels. So this is what you would change if you want to make it more rounded, right? You can add it like, make something like just 20, and bam, it's like as easy as that to change, right? You can add this to your style sheet to commit it if you want. Okay, you can add this to the style sheet to commit it if you want, right? So theme button, border radius, 20 px. Okay, I do a refresh, and I inspect, and you see like, okay, so now the border radius is taken from styles.css. So it's pretty simple to change. Okay, let's do some more other examples. Okay. Oh, by the way, you know this border radius to make rounded corners, you can actually do it to images as well. So if you, let's say we inspect the image here. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay. I see that the class for it, hold on, sorry. Okay, I see the class for it is, actually I don't see it yet. So let me inspect that, see. Okay, I see that, nope, one more time. Okay, I see that the class for it is image drop shadow. So you know how I use the border radius to change the theme button? I can also change, use it to change the roundness, I guess, of the image itself. So you can go border radius, and instead of say 20 pixels for the theme button, we can use something like 50% of the height of the image. And when you do that, you can make rounded images just like you have in Google Plus profiles, right? Okay. And if you want it, again, if you want to commit those changes, come back to your style sheet. So it was image drop shadow, border radius 50%. Okay. Okay, cool. Do a refresh, and I do another. Still building. Okay, so now I take a look at the image, and now the border radius is derived from my my declaration and styles. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's try to do some alignment changes. Let's say, let's say I have some, let's see. Let's say I have a monetary value that I want to right align, right? If I inspect it, I see that the class for that is table cell value. And this is, so if I try to make a change to that, if I make a right alignment, okay, I see that it affects every cell on the page that has that class. So that's not really what I want. So the question is, if I just want to affect this dollar value, how do I change that? That's when you actually want to go to the layout itself to make specific changes, right? So I'll refresh this. So let's go to, we're on the orders page, okay? And the fields that I'm interested in was the freight, right? So this guy. So right here, if I wanted to override the alignment, I can add an inline style, right? What you do is right-click, styles, and cell. And here, you can add any you know, of those properties that we had originally, right? So for this guy, I can say text align right. And because there's another rule, actually. The rule is that any inline style you declare takes precedence over any class, okay? So if I say OK, and because I made a change to layout, this time I do have to rebuild, right? Okay. Okay, so I'll come back here and do a refresh. Now you see that the dollar value has been shifted to the right. And if you look at it, this pane here, it will tell you that, oh, it got the right alignment from an inline style, and then but the rest of the attributes are derived from the original base styles declaration. So the only thing overridden is the text align left. Okay. Let's say you wanted to. Let's say you had a. Imagine if you had a column of monetary values and you want to right align it because maybe there's like a you want a total. You want to sum all the fields, right? How do you change that, right? Well, let's say you want. Just imagine that these are dollar values as well. What you would do is you can do this shift clicking, right? So I click on one item and I shift click on the other one, and you can select a column of data. You can select a row, right? Or you can even select like a block. And what you can do is you can change them all at once. So you can say go to styles, cell, and this will show you the common attributes for those three cells. So what's common is the class, right? The style is not common because originally I only added to freight, but now I want to add it to everybody. So you can do something like text align right. Okay. If I do a rebuild, okay, I come here and I refresh. Now all those guys are right aligned. Okay. Maybe then you decide that, hey, I like how my monetary values are right aligned. How do I use it on other pages? Well, then it becomes more of a global style, right? So instead of using inline styles, we have to define a new class, right? So the original class was table cell value, right? So we want to go to the style sheet, and we want to look for table cell value, and we wanted all these properties, right? We wanted the colors, fonts, and so on, but we wanted to make it right aligned, right? So if you want to create your own style, you can start out with what's defined here in base styles, right? And you can paste it in styles. And you don't want to use table cell value anymore. You want to create your own style, right? Say table cell value right align, right? And then you can just change the attribute that you're interested in. Okay. And if you want to use this new style, in that field, those fields, right? You would just change it in the cell editor, right? So I no longer need this inline style, so I'm going to delete it. And instead of using the default table cell value, I can just use my new style, right? Okay. Okay, do a quick refresh. Okay, it's still right aligned, but if I inspect it, I see that now I'm no longer using the default table cell value, but I'm using table cell value right aligned, the new style that I defined in styles. Okay. Now you might be some smart guy out there would say like, hey, it's kind of bad that I have to copy all these properties from the original table cell value when I don't really need to, right? What happens if in future releases designer changes those base styles, right? Then does that mean that I have to update these on my own, right? That seems kind of inefficient, right? So what I can do is instead of taking every property that's in that original style, I can just say, okay, I'm only interested in this one thing, right? I'm just interested in, say, right aligning, right? I can go back to design mode, and I can say change for the cell. I can just use the original class, plus you can add, just by adding a space, you can add your own class, right? So what this says is use all the properties from table cell value, but I'll override it with my class. So you can add a string of as many classes as you want. You're not restricted to just one. Okay, so I do a quick rebuild. Okay, and I'll refresh. Okay, so now if I inspect it, I see that, okay, it's taking the first class, and then it's taking the second class, right? The first class is the table cell value, right? Still here, but this time I'm overriding it with my own style. So this is a way for you to cheat a little bit, right? You can grab what you need from the original style, and then just add your own with secondary and tertiary styles. Okay. Let's see. We're at about 40 minutes in. So actually, I'm just going to take, this is actually like our first CSS webinar, so it's just an intro to, all the things you can do with CSS, right? Again, if you want to learn more about it, just use this reference, right? And it'll show you like the complete list of things you can do. And I just encourage you to just play with it, right? Play with its inspector just to see what things are on the page and what you can change, right? So let's see, okay. And let's just, yeah. Oh, okay. So I wanted, since this is the first webinar, I just would like feedback from you guys. Like, is this the appropriate level of difficulty, right? Is it too simple for you guys, right? Do you guys say, oh, this stuff is so easy, I know this already, I don't need this one. Do you need more advanced webinars in the future? So let us know that, okay? And now I'll just take some questions from you guys. Go ahead and type your questions for Jill, and I'll start answering them. I'll stay here. We'll just play it by ear, see how long I can stay here. Okay.
Fantastic, very helpful at the beginning. Are there handouts?
Okay.
Oh, tell them that we'll post the recording in a couple of days.
Okay, Jill says that we'll post the recording of this webinar in a few days, okay? So first question is from Michael. He says, style sheet layouts, are they the same for both classic and modern? Yes, they are. So the only difference is the properties that are in each one. So if you go to your install directory, let's see, where's my, so Iron Speed, and in the current version you're at, you'll see a folder for design themes, and in it you'll have all the theme files, right? So whenever we do a theme switch, we just swap in the specific file. So for Atoms, there's, let me see, actually I don't have it. Say for Shabu, oh, actually I don't think this is the right place. But anyway, we'll just grab the proper base styles.css for you, and then paste it to your application directory. Okay, so they're all the same, just the properties are different between classic and modern. Okay, let's see. Dan asks, can you open a quick selector and change the text box and pane size? Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Okay. So let's see. So let's go to an edit page. And oh, I have to configure this yet. Okay, so I'll just create a new app first. That'll be better. Chablis. Let's take, I think I need these guys. Okay, and I'll say quick selector. Oh, reserve word, okay. Okay, while this is building, I'll answer some other questions. So from Tulip, I would like it here. Can you then simply copy from here and paste it into your CSS? Let's see. If you like it here, can you then copy from here and paste it to your CSS? I see. I'm assuming that Tulip is referring to the CSS pane that's on the right-hand side. And yes, you can copy whatever's there. You can double-click it, and it will highlight the text. And then you can copy it to your style sheet. Okay. Let's see. Jim asks, which version of the browser am I using? The browser, I'm using Firefox, and the version is, let's see, what's the version? Question mark maybe. Okay. So the version I'm using is version 30, but it's this browser inspector is available on every browser. So like, let's say Chrome. I'll open Chrome. Okay. So this in Chrome, I guess it's Tools and View Source. I'm sorry, not View Source. Chrome and Developer Tools. Okay. And then actually, let's open the page itself in here. So I'll copy this from Firefox, and I'll add it to Chrome. So in Chrome, okay, things are laid out a little differently. So the inspector icon is on the left-hand side, but it's the same functionality. Click on this, and you can mouse over things, right? Same idea, right? Okay, so same idea. In IE, we can do the same. Right. Okay. IE, it's F12 developer tools. Okay. Okay, and let's see. Okay, so I think the inspector is the very first icon here, and then this is their inspector button, and same thing. You mouse over it. The difference here is that you don't immediately see the class. You actually have to click on the item before you see the class. So here's table cell value. Okay. So again, all the 5 browsers have this support. Okay. Next question. Let's see. Okay. Actually, okay. Dan had a question about the quick selector. So let's go to there. Okay. Close this. Close this. Okay. So. Okay, so let's, as you know, a quick selector is basically it replaced the drop-down instead of, yeah, so, and I think he wants to change the size of this text box and the pane size. Okay, so here we go. Let's open up the inspector as usual. Okay, and if I want to inspect this, let's see. Okay. I see that, okay, the size of the search box is, actually let's do the pane first. Let's increase the size of the pane. I can't seem to get the container, so what I can do is I can just simply click on any element within the quick selector. And then I didn't mention this earlier, but there's actually a breadcrumb at the top of this pane, and you can actually use it to navigate to the parent, right? So if I was at this cell, I can move up, and I can go further until I get to the actual whole container. Let's see. So actually, here's the QS container. I can look here and see, like, okay, does it have the width I'm looking for, like the size specification that I'm looking for? No, it doesn't. So I can traverse further up, right, to parents. Okay, and still I can't find it. Okay, so then finally I get to this thing called a queue dialog queue size, and I can see, okay, there's some style height and width here. Maybe I can change this. Let me try this. So let's just make this, instead of height 278, let's change it to 778, right? Right. So okay, so that's how you change the size of that. You can change it there, and then you can change the width as well. Okay, so let's change it to 530 or something. Okay, and I'll make this shorter so it fits on the screen. Let's see. Okay, so it fits on the screen. Okay, notice that some of the elements are still not right. I just made the box bigger, but then there are certain fixed position elements on this that needs to be moved around. So like the footer here, this is QS footer, and this was originally aligned 240 pixels from the top. What I can do is I can move this down. Let's say move it 3, so you can move it down to your page. In order to change the number of items, I don't think that's something I can do in styles. I think that's something you choose to add in Designer itself. So that's beyond the scope of this webinar. Okay. So that's all. That's all you have to do. Those two styles. Okay. Let's see. Wow, I have a lot of questions here. Okay. 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 I have a question from Jim. He says, can you please repeat how you would implement the additional customer style sheets? Quote, mystylesheet.css and the rules for using the file. Okay, so what I said earlier was that in the application folder, I had this earlier. Actually, since I'm using the quick selector one, let me go there. You can add any of your own style sheets you want here, right? So the rule is, okay, so if I add it, right? So Jim wants me to add something called my style sheet .css, okay? So the rule is links to these files will be added in alphabetical order, right? So if I come here and I'll do a quick refresh, and I look at the view source, I can see that, okay, base styles comes first, then my styles, and then finally styles.css. So, and the priority is anything that gets put in styles will override the other two, and anything in my styles will override base styles. So let's actually try something, right? Let's try, let's see the precedence, right? Let's say I'll change the header color again, right? So let's say again the class for that is PCT, okay? Let me close this one. I'll close this one, and I'll open. I'll add it to PCT. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry. I'll add it to styles.css. Okay, so let's say background color here is. Let's see. Okay, we'll say red. Okay, and in my styles, I can add that. I can add something too, right? I'll just copy this and paste in my styles. And in my styles, I'll call it, I'll make it green, right? Okay. If I come back here and I do a refresh, I see it's red, right? So the question is, why is it red, right? Why isn't it green? Well, if you look at the precedence rules, I'll inspect that PCT. I'll see that I actually got the background color from styles.css. It overrode the orange color. I'm sorry, the green color from my styles, and it also overrode the blue color from base styles, right? So again, the precedence is the last declaration takes effect. If I go back to my styles.css and I delete this, right? If I just delete this and leave it empty, now when I come back to the page, now it's green, right? And if I inspect it again, I see that, okay, there's nothing defined in style, so it doesn't take effect, but the green now takes effect from my style. So you can go ahead and add as many as you want, add as many style sheets as you want, but the precedence is the last declaration has priority. Okay. Okay, Let's see. A question from Dan. Oh, is there a CSS Designer tool like Visual Studio for CSS design? Or do you always have to inspect it in the browser, then change the class manually, refresh, repeat? Yeah, so I think I'm not familiar with Visual Studio. I believe you can do that. It has like a sort of a live preview where you can see it. Oh, I should also show. Okay, so Wayne in chat room says you can use Stylizer 5. You can also look at this in live preview. I didn't show you that, right? So if you click on live preview, you can also see the page. Okay, so the page that I was working on, right, that green header, you can see it here. You can make changes and see things here. However, the only drawback is that there's no inspector, so it's a little harder to figure out what styles are in effect. So that's why I tend to always use the browser. There are other tools out there. I think like Adobe has a Dreamweaver. It's like a website builder that you can use, and you can modify properties with like a lot of checkboxes and drop downs. Okay, and it will construct the CSS for you. Okay, next question. Let's see. Can you change, okay, this is from Lisa. Can you change the padding in text boxes? Sometimes the text is cut off, and I would like them to make a little larger to accommodate longer text. Okay, let's find something with long text. Let's see. Okay, actually, you know, here's another way to use this layout editor. You can actually add, you can change the contents, right? So if I have soft drink, coffees, teas, beers, and ales here, I can inspect it, and I can see it here. Let's see where it is. Wow, this one's far. Okay, so I can actually see it here, and I can actually edit this, right? If you double click, right, I think, or if you hit F12, I mean F2, no, not F2, F3? No. Okay, anyway, I can double click this, and I can type more and more content, right? So Lisa wanted long text. Here you go, right? This is long text, right? Okay. And she says that sometimes it's cut off, right? So the way to keep things from being cut off, let's see. Actually, I'm not sure how hers is set up, but usually there's something where sometimes you define the width of the container for this element, and it might have a style called I think like overlap. Right? Let me look for it actually. So CSS I think it's called overflow actually. So sometimes let's see. Okay. So sometimes when text overflows your container, your TD, it can be hidden, right? It can be hidden, and that just means it's clipped. We can even see examples of this here. Let's see. So let's see. So everything is visible. Okay, so everything is, this initial box is the container, right? And if you keep on typing, you start overflowing that container, right? So there might be a property in her app, in Lisa's app, that says, okay, if it overflows, hide it. Sometimes there's a scroll bar associated with it so that you can see more content. So I'm thinking that maybe in her case, her property is set to overflow hidden. So the way to change that is you would inspect it, right? You can even inspect this page, right? Let's just inspect this page. Okay. Click on this box. Okay. And you can, and you know, in her case, she can check what styles are there. And my guess is that there's probably a style that says overflow hidden, and she can change that to like scroll to see more of it, or she can say visible to, you know, make sure everything is seen there. If you need to add more padding to a particular row, you can do this. You can inspect it, and there's a padding attribute already, and you can change it here. So if you want more, let's say top-bottom padding, let's just do one value. If you have one value, say like 20 px, it's applied to all four. So it's top padding, right padding, bottom padding, left padding, and they're all 20. So that's how you increase padding. You can make more if you want. You can make it 120 if you want. So that's how you move things around on the screen. Okay. 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 Wow. Okay. Let's see. This is from Jim. It says, can a inline style target a particular class so a width would only apply to a quick selector pop-up class? Inline style. Can inline style target a particular class? No, inline style is just applied to that particular cell. You can't affect the class itself. What you can do is you can override the properties in a class, right? But you cannot change the class itself. Okay. So, like an example that I did earlier. So let me refresh this page. So, okay. So for this guy, like I know that its class is table cell value, and its color is this. It's a gray. If I want to add an inline style, I can add it here. And oh, sorry. So I'm trying to override the color. Okay. So let's say blue, right? Actually, let's do red. Okay. So I can override this class, this property, but I cannot change it. I can't actually change the values. Okay. I think that's what you're asking. Let me know if I'm not answering this correctly, Jim. Okay. Okay. Next. Okay. Christopher asked, you said precedence was based on last declaration. Where do you make the declarations? Okay. I'm sorry. What I meant was if the same style, same property is defined in multiple style sheets, right? You know how I have, okay, let me look at base styles as well. Okay, so if I have, as I did earlier, PCT, right? PCT, if I have it defined, let's see, PCT, if I have PCT and its properties defined in here, these will take effect on only if I have those same properties here. That's I wouldn't say it's declaration. I would just say you define your properties here. So let's say the background color. This will take effect unless I add background color here, and I add background color here. So this is considered the declaration then. So I can, if I define it in multiple places, the precedence is the last style sheet takes effect. The last time I reference this property takes effect. Okay, hope that answers that. Okay. Okay, Dan has a question. How does CSS know to use the modified style sheet over the base style sheet? Okay, again, .NET does it for you automatically. It adds the style sheet references to your page based on the alphabetical ordering of those pages. So, base styles first, my styles second, and styles third. And anything in the later style sheets override what's previously there. Okay. Well, a lot of questions. Okay. Okay. Oh, here's a good question. Reginald asks, if you have a syntax error in your style sheet, will the application still compile and run? Yes. Style sheets don't affect the running of the page. It just affects the rendering, right? So let's say let's do that. So let's say in my styles.css, I mistype background color, right? I'll just call it, like that, right? if I come here and refresh, and I inspect that background, oh, okay, it doesn't even show that wrong color. It just ignores it. You can even try to type it here, right? Type it incorrectly, right? Just say ground, right? Ground color, red, right? And it'll tell you it's wrong. There's this little warning sign. I'm not sure why this didn't show up in the inspector. I actually expected it to be here with a warning sign, but it didn't seem to do so. So maybe for Firefox, if your property is misspelled in any way, then it won't show up at all in the inspector. Let me try it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. 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 Let's see. Tulip. I'm sorry. Tulip again. In the inspector box, where are you testing the values? Excuse me. Where are you testing the values? I think. Do you mean where do I add new values? If oh, excuse me for a second. Get some water. So the values are added. You can just click next to the property. So let's say for font family, you don't want to use open sans. You can just double click.
I was just clarifying my previous question about
Okay.
copy and paste.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, sorry. So Tulip wanted to know how to copy and paste. So let's say you're happy with this particular style that you added, so you can just copy it from here. Actually, yeah. And you would paste it in your style sheet like that. Oops. Let's see if you can copy the property itself. Yeah, it looks like you can. So, okay, so you copy the whole property. Yep. So yeah, so let's see if you can copy all of them. Let's see. Yeah, so it looks like you can copy all of them if you wanted to. Yeah, so great. So yeah, so after you've done your test and you like the look, you just copy all of it into your style sheet. So that's great. Okay. Next. Let's see. Okay, so Myrna says, ask, I want to create a blank page with a button or hyperlink in the middle of the screen. Can you show me how to do this? Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'll go to Designer. I'll add a new page, new blank page. Okay. Okay, there's nothing here. I'll go to Design Mode so I can see the grid itself, right? And she wants a button or a hyperlink, right? Okay, so let me look at the toolbox. I will drag a let's see, I'll drag a button from there. I want a theme button. So okay, I'll drag this. Okay. And if I just build this now and I run it, okay, I'll run it. Okay, I'll see my button is up here. Okay, so how do I move that to the center? Okay, so that's when I start inspecting it. Let's see. And I'll see, okay, where is this guy? Okay, this guy, okay, it looks like it's just, okay. Okay, so the button is in a table. Okay, and I wanted to put it in the middle of the table. Okay, so what I can do is, let's see, let me get the table. Okay, I can see how wide is this. Okay. So I can say do text. But, oh, okay, I see. I think you can do something like margin left auto and margin right auto. Let's see. Doesn't work. Okay. Let me try something else. Let's see. Let me find the button first. Let's see. Okay, this is in PCC. Okay. Let me just put a border around PCC so I know where it's at. Okay. Okay, so PCC is only that big, so maybe I have to make PCC taller, right? Wider and taller. So I'll make it 1000 px, and I'll change the height to 1000 px. Okay. Okay. So now the border. Okay. So now I see that the button is in the upper left-hand corner. So in order to get this centered, let's see, I need to pick the table that the button resides in, okay? And then, let's see here, I think, and it should be the margin. Like, you tell the browser that, okay, so however wide the page is, make the margin to the left and to the right of it equal. And you do that by doing this auto thing. Oops, sorry. Okay. Oh, didn't spell it right. Okay, so this centered. So now if you want it vertically aligned, then I think you just do margin top and bottom. So, yeah. Okay, so that doesn't seem to work. So maybe you can use something like just padding then. Just do padding top. And then say, because it's 1000 height, I'll just move it 500 pixels down. So that's how you would do something like that. So that's how it's centered. Okay. So what I did was I added margin left and right to get it centered here, and I added padding top to move it down a certain amount. Okay. Okay, next question. Can you give end user option to use different theme names? Yes, actually what you can do is if you wanted to create your own theme, you can just duplicate. You can start with any one of the themes we have, right? So in your install directory, Designer 10.2.5, there's all these themes. So you can just actually copy one of these, right? Copy, and then copy, and then paste it here. Okay, and we'll call it. Let's call it. Let's see. This is from HD, so I'll call it HD's theme. Okay. Okay. And then if you close your Designer and reopen it. And if you create a new app, say, let's see, where did I add this? Okay, I was expecting that theme to show up, so it looks like there's additional, like maybe like some wiring that I have to do in the background. So let me let Jill take down your email, and I will have. I'll get back to you with the answer to this, but definitely you can add your own theme with your own names. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. This is from Gary.
Jeremy
Okay.
says your 10.2.1 app and change 10.2.5 custom theme.
Okay.
I don't know what he
I don't know either. Okay. So anyway, Gary asks, can you use CSS for a gallery sheet to change the size of the image? I've tried using the gallery description background, but it won't accept width, only a height. So I ended up with a squish style. So use CSS for a gallery sheet to change the size of the image. Okay, so let's take a look.
Jeremy says that's why it didn't show in the newly copied theme in Designer.
Okay.
Let me print this for you so that you'll see it.
Okay, so let's look at a gallery page. Oh, what happened? Oh, let me run this again. Oh, I closed the app. Sorry about that. That's this one. Do I have gallery? Oh no, it's just this one. Okay. Okay, run this. Okay, and here's the gallery. Okay, to change the size of the image. So again, first thing I do is I inspect, right? Okay, and I start mousing over this. Okay, so it says the style for that is gallery description background, and only thing that you can change looks like the width, right? So let's see what happens when you change the width. So I'll change it to 150. Okay, it didn't change anything. So probably this is not the right style. Let's navigate through the HTML and see what's in there. Okay, there's a gallery title. Okay. Okay. Actually, I think we should navigate up. There's actually a div that contains the image itself, and it's called gallery background image. So if I inspect that, I see the width is here, and actually the thing that controls the size is what I showed you guys earlier. This background size is actually stretching the image 100% of the width and height of that cell. So if I wanted to change the image, I can actually put in dimensions, right? So if this is 250 by 250, I can do like 100 px by 100 px, right? So now all the images are smaller. So you can just change this. You can change this to a percentage too, like instead of 100%, you can do 75%, right? Okay. So that's how you change the image. So the style to use, Gary, is background, gallery background image. Okay, so this guy. Okay. Okay, next question. Okay, Melissa asks, I see you do have PDFs uploaded here. How am I only able to upload JPEGs? Any suggestions? I'm not sure if I know how to answer this one. Yeah, I'll get back to you on this one, Melissa. I guess this is not a CSS question. Okay, next. Okay, let's see. I guess Tulip is asking a lot of questions, but I guess it's okay because they tend to be simpler. So I'll answer that. He says, I'm not sure if it's he says, okay, can you please show how to put text on top of an image? Example, the price of the image. Okay, so actually, okay, so what you would do is, let's go to the blank page that I had, right? When you can do it two ways, but yeah, so actually I'll go and do it. Let's see. So usually, actually I'll just use this gallery because that's what is actually happening. This Alice Mutton is imagine it's your price, right? So I'll just change this to, you know, okay, I'll just change it to a price, right? And I'll make it larger so you can see it. Let's see. Okay, so the way to do it is actually you put the the image first is a background image. It's a background on that cell, right? So it's right here, right? And we wanted to say fill the whole cell, okay? And then what you do, is you take a div that contains the price and you position it on top of it. So anything actually, because the image is a background, any value that you add to the cell is automatically placed on top. Then if you want to kind of like see through to the image itself, you would add a, so I'll highlight this semi-opaque portion, and you'll see that there's a opacity property. This one, if you have it at 1, it'll be a solid, right? It'll be a solid color, and then you can use 0 is completely transparent, and then you can do like decimal values, 0.7, for example, to get like semi-transparent. And so I guess to answer this question, you would make the image part of the background, okay? Background of the cell, right? And then any content you have will automatically be on top of that background, okay? Okay, next. Oh, okay, let's see. Okay, John asks, how do you programmatically change the color of a field depending on its value? So negatives are red and positives are green. Okay, this is kind of like you would need some sort of JavaScript to change the class name, right? You can certainly name, like, let's say, okay, let's go back to Prox page. So you can okay. So again, we know that this class for this is table cell value, right? So in styles.css, you know, value. Okay, we can change the color of it to red, right? Okay. Okay, and then okay, and what you do is you define a separate class for your negative value. So let's say this red one is negative, right? Is the negative value. You would do this, and then you would duplicate it. Oops. Okay, and then this is your positive style, right? And this is green. So you would have to programmatically add, I think you can add a formula. I guess some of the MVPs can help you better with this. I'm not familiar with the, how to use formulas, but you can actually say, you can programmatically change the style for a particular element. So you check it. If it's negative, use use this class, and if it's positive, use this class. If the value, if there's more than one value within that cell, instead of putting the class on the cell, which would affect everything, you can actually just put like a span tag, right? You can do something like, you can do a span tag with a class, like, okay, table cell value negative, you know, okay, like that. So you would put this, you would programmatically change this class depending on your value, okay? So either JavaScript or your code behind will do it. Yeah, so this is how you do it. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Jim has another question. Can a custom class be created that inherits another class? The use case is styles from third parties that may have a different name, and I want to be able to set .my background so that changes to pback would affect both styles without copy-paste. So if you want to inherit, what I did earlier was kind of show that. So there's no mechanism for direct inheritance, but you can include that first class that you're interested in and then add to it. So like earlier when I looked at the table cell here, I can't inherit from table cell value, but I can use it and then add my own classes, right? So like earlier I did like right align. You can do this. You can add to the class. Okay. Okay. Next question. This is from HD. As a developer, I would like to allow my end user not to be able to select from a list of themes. Is that possible? Yeah, actually, your end user doesn't have access to the themes, right? What happens is when you choose themes, only the style sheet gets copied to the server. You know, all your pages get copied and your style sheets get copied, but nothing specific about the theme otherwise gets copied over. So your end user, you know, cannot choose what themes. Okay, I think that's what you're asking. Yeah. So yeah, you choose the theme, right? You choose the theme for your application here, and then that's what your user is stuck with, I guess. Okay. Okay. Next one. Okay. He-meant wants to know, is there any plan to release a Bootstrap 3 theme in the near future for responsive experience? Actually, I don't know what Bootstrap is, so I'll have to look into that, and I'll get back to you, okay? Jill will take down your email. Okay. Okay, Reginald asks, how do you change the entire background of the whole theme? Okay, usually what you do is you inspect it to figure out what is the background, right? So usually it's the biggest container, right? So if I mouse out here and I look at here, it looks like, okay, the HTML, that's usually the outermost container. And then if I navigate in one child, okay, so is that, yeah, so actually there's a background color here. So this is where you can change the entire background, right? You can change the color, right? So you can make the whole background orange if you want, right? Okay. So the class to change is pback. Again, you're not only restricted background color, you can add image. So that sunset image I added to the header, you can certainly add it to here if you want, right? Yeah, we can even try it now, right? Let's try it. So okay. Oh, I need to copy the image to this new theme, right? So I'll copy this, and I paste it in the images directory of, let's see, this was the Quick Selector app. Okay. Okay, it's there. So come back. Okay, come back here and I do refresh. Oh, I don't see the image. Let's see. What am I missing? What am I missing? Let's see. I don't see the image. So if I inspect the background again, let's see. Okay. Pback. Okay. Okay, I don't see my style. My change. Oh, because stupid me. This is if I add it here, it's temporary if I refresh, right? So if I really want to commit this, I need to add it to the style sheet. So here, okay, let's get rid of all this. So my style again was pback, background, image. Sunset.jpg. Okay. Okay, come here and refresh. Okay, so the image is here. Again, you can keep it from tiling, and you can stretch it to your whole page. Okay, and this applies to globally, so every page has this, right? You go to orders. Yeah, so it's here as well. Okay, so it's here as well. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Tommy asks, can CSS be used for pop-ups to show related field data from image in a pop-up box like Netflix hover over pop-ups? Yeah, so actually that's what's happening for our images. Any image by default will have a pop-up, right? And it will show, it's just like a Netflix with information in it. You can put any information you want in here, actually, okay? The default is to just echo a larger version of that image, okay? And this is governed by CSS as well. You can inspect this, so we can inspect it, all right? Okay, so I mouse over this, and then the pop-up appears. So I'll mouse over the pop-up. Oops, let's see. Okay, okay. So the pop-up, it's a div with a class detail rover pop-up. Okay. Okay. So let me, in order to get it to stay in place, you actually click on the original image, and then now this guy will stay in place. If I inspect it again. Okay, so there's actually a style called pop-up wrapper that is the container for it. You can look at all the properties that are available. You can make, okay, here's border radius. You can make it rounder edges, if you want. You can make it transparent if you want, right? So you can add a property called opacity and do like 0.5. And so you can actually see through see through. So maybe this is too much, maybe like a 0.9 or something. So it gives you an interesting overlapping effect. You can change background color. Yeah, you can inspect this and see what you want to change. Okay, but certainly you can use CSS to affect this pop-up. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, James asks, please let us know about Ajax border, especially in tab. Sometimes we want to change tab size, but border is separate, like them.
He says, or fix the tab size when width is 100%. He adds to that. So.
Indeed, how can I change my width in tab for Ajax? I'm not sure. Okay. Do you mean like, James, do you mean like a tab in like a child container? Like if we say, let's see. So do you mean this tab that I'm looking at? Let's see. Do you mean this tab that I'm looking at? If you want it, okay. If you want to change the tab size, how can I change the width? Okay, so let's inspect that, right? Let's take a look at what style governs that, right? Okay. Okay, so I mouse over this. And there's actually several, so you have to play around with it, right? But it looks like, okay, I'll just choose one. If I choose this span called Ajax tab outer, I look for any padding, right? And I go, okay, there's not really any padding. Let me see. So it's probably not that, so let me look further here. So there's the Ajax tab. I apologize for the names here. This is all like .NET created, so there's like some really esoteric names there. Ajax tab, okay. If I look here, do I see padding? Okay, so there's a padding here, and it's actually derived from a .NET CSS file. It's from webresources.axt. Okay, so if I want to override that, let me do that now. Okay, so I can just add like in base styles, we added some styles so that you can override the ones that are in web resources. So let's try to add it to this Ajax tab and see what happens. So I'll add padding left to it. Let's say 20 px. And see if that makes a difference. Okay, so it looks like it added padding to the left of that. Okay, so yep, so that's the way to go. Add some right padding as well, 20 px. Okay, so now your tabs are wider. So the style, the class to use is Ajax. Well, you can read this, but it's basically in. You can check what line it's on in basestyles.css. So it's on line 1404. Okay, so basically that's how you do it. You go ahead and try to inspect it, and then see what padding values you have and what you can change. Okay. Okay. Good question. Next. Okay. Tommy asks, how do you add a field data for the pop-up? Okay, so let's see. A field data for the pop-up. Let's see. Okay, so we need to find where the pop-up is located first, right? So I will look for it in Designer. I'm on the products table page. Okay. Okay. And wow, sometimes it's like hidden. We'll just have to look for it, see if it's here. I cannot seem to find it. I'm not sure if this is like actual pop-up that's available for modifying, or it's a like a JavaScript thing. Let's see. So for like these guys, for like these pop-ups, I can modify. Like, so this is a filter pop-up. So let me look for it. Let's see, filters. Okay, filters. Okay, so yeah. So if you have to look for where the pop-up is, right? So this is like the grid for this pop-up, right? So there's this, labels, discontinue, product name, and so on. So once you find this pop-up, you can add any labels you want, right? So it's a simple matter of dragging it from the toolbox, right? So let's say I want to add a unit orders. Oh, actually it's there already. So let me add a different one. Let me just add a yeah. So you can just add a photo if you want, I guess. Oops, nope. No photo. Okay, well anyway, you can drag. I think you can drag. I'm not sure why you can't. Let's see. Huh, funny. Somebody tell me why I can't add this. Maybe some. Oh, I have to add it from the filters bar. Where's the filters bar? Okay. Okay, I'll have to get back to you on this.
Next bar down below field. Filters way down.
From
Jeremy's name.
From
next bar down below field.
Okay. Next bar down below fields. I'm getting that.
Filters way down, and then Jeremy says in the toolbox.
Okay.
And Wayne says in the toolbox.
Okay, in the toolbox. Yes, in the toolbox. Down. Okay. Filters. Oh, okay, good. Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So since this is a filter pop-up, I have to grab a filter. That makes sense. Okay, so let me do that. Okay, there you go. So you can drag any of these from. And let's see. Since you're asking, you just want field data, right? So you can actually type things. You can actually type content in the cell editor if you like, right? Hi, Tommy, right? You can add anything you like. Yeah. Okay. I'll do a refresh. Okay. And then, hey, where is it? Oh, it's not loaded yet. Do it again. Okay, so, hi, Tommy's there. So basically, you have to find out where the pop-up is from, and then you can add to it in this grid design mode. Okay. Okay, thanks, Tommy. Okay, next. Okay. Okay, Chris asks, with the fonts, doesn't the user have to have the font installed on their computer to see the Google fonts? Good question. Actually, no. What happens is when you add that import line, let me go back to that, Google Fonts. Oops. Okay. Google Fonts, when you add this import line to your style sheet, what it does is when that page is loaded, it will actually go to Google servers to request that font. And then that gets downloaded to the user's system. So that's how they see the Google font. Okay? So nothing extra to do on your part. All you need to do is add this import directive to your style sheets. Okay? Okay, let's see. Let's see. John asks, what is the name of the editor that you are using and where do I get it from? Okay, I like it because I am an advocate of this editor. It's called VI, right? Actually, VI was an editor, I think it's about 40 years old. And it was used by a lot of Unix programmers, right? And there's many versions of it. The version I'm using is from a company. It's the editor is called Lemmy, right? So if I just Google Lemmy, you can use it for free. It keeps on popping up with a request to purchase a license. So if you're not annoyed by pop-ups, or if you want to pay for it, you can go and pay for it. I'll just go Lemmy VI editor. Okay, so it looks like it's available from unixtools.co.uk. Yep. Okay. Wow, this is like old school. This tells you how old the editor is. This page is like from 1995 or something. Okay. Okay. So and then you can download any of these versions. Yep. The good thing about this is that you don't have to use your mouse to get around the page. There's all sorts of commands that, right now I'm just using the keyboards. There's all sorts of commands to, move left, move right, copy and paste text, right? So I can, there's commands, if I want to copy these two, right? I can just, oops, hold on for a second. So I can, what's called yank those two lines and then just paste it here. It's like it's all done with, the keyboard. So that's why I like it. I never have to go to the mouse to copy and paste and so on. So if I want to copy these 3 lines, right, or 4 lines, I would just yank it and then I come here and paste, right? And I can also do searches on this, right? So if I'm searching for a particular item, like for example menus, I can do a slash and I can search for it, and it'll find every instance of menu. So there's 4 here. So you do next, and so you can get around really quickly with this editor. So I love this thing. Yeah, no Visual Studio, no Notepad for me. Okay. 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 Great. Next. You guys have good questions, I have to say. Okay. Okay. This is from Dan. I go, wow. Okay. I wanted an iSpeed button to have a new image. I changed the image URL of the original button to be email.png, and I also changed the on-mouse out and on-mouse over to be email /_over and email _out. When I hover and leave, it seems to work fine, but if I click the button, it seems to change the icon to email icon over to.png, but I never specified email icon over to. The 2 appear from thin air. Is CSS responsible for this? No, it's not. It's probably some JavaScript. So usually when you have images attached to a button, there's a source line that sets initial image. And then in the mouse out and mouse over, you update that the source of that image. So the problem is probably in one of your those handlers, those mouse out or mouse over handlers. And you say that let's see, if you click the button, it changes to over. Okay, there's also a third state. Like there's also a visited state that you might have to take a look at. So again, you have the source for the original image, then you have a mouse out state image and a mouse over image. Yeah, if you can give me the exact example, just send me the app with this in there. I can take a look at it for you and see, what's the problem. Okay, Wayne in the chat room said that this is in the properties. So the properties, you can call it up by going view and properties, and I'm thinking that you can click on that button that you are interested in, and you can see on the right-hand side what images you're using, I'm thinking. I'm not sure, but again, if you want to send me this app, I can look at it for you. Okay, thanks, Dan. Okay, question from Tommy. I got here 30 minutes late, so what browser and element inspector are you using for this webinar? Okay, so hey, no excuse for being late, Tommy. Okay, so the inspector I'm using is in Firefox, okay, but it's available in any of the major browsers, right, i.e. Chrome, Safari, and even Opera, right? And to invoke the inspector, I just go to this hamburger icon, right, like developer, and I click inspector, and it pops up, right? And just to echo what I said earlier, the left side just shows you the HTML that's on the page, and then the right side tells you the styles that are applied to different elements on the page. And to pick a particular element, you just click this button here, this square with a cursor there. It highlights it, and then you can start mousing over different elements on the page. And when you're, you can actually click on what you're interested in, and then you can actually see the styles that are there, right? You can see that this style sheet takes effect, and then sometimes it overrides other style sheets that also define the same style. For example, this this margin is overridden, right? This margin that's defined in directory nocache.css is overridden by the margin here. So you can just take a look at these to see the precedent rules that are being applied by the browser. Okay, you can change items here. You can change values here to test out, to change the look and feel of your page and see what happens. Then just know that anything you do in this inspector is only temporary. So once you do a refresh, the changes on, right? If you want to commit your changes, you have to add it to the actual style sheets for your application, like styles.css. Okay. Okay. Thanks. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Yali asks, well, actually, he says, this is very helpful. Thanks. He asks, do you have an easy way to apply alternating colors to different rows? The answer right now would be no, because in Designer, any repeating content, like if we look at the show products table page, and I look at the fields themselves, what happens is that this field region gets repeated, and they get repeated with the same classes. So you can't do it directly through Designer. What you can do is you can add, you can write some JavaScript to traverse your page. And for each row, right, each TR, so if you, let's say these are the fields, you can right-click, go to Styles, and go to Row, and you can add your own classes for this, right? So say this row, you can add, a light green color.
Tom says there is a code customization for alternating colors on cells and rows.
Okay, okay.
You have to repeat that, they can't hear.
Understood. Okay, so you can actually, okay, I'm told by Tommy in the chat that there's actually a customization that will do this for you. Basically, what it will do is there'll be JavaScript that changes the class for that particular row, based on, if it's odd or even. So where can I find that? Where can I find the customization? Okay, so Tommy can tell us in the chat where we can find that customization. Thanks, Tommy. Okay. Okay, Melissa asked, when uploading an image on the home page, can I upload PDFs?
Wayne says customize tab. I think he's answering the question, Tommy.
Okay. When uploading an image on the home page, can I upload PDFs?
And he says customize tab.
This one, I'm not sure. This one, I'll have to take down your email. So, okay, uploading PDFs. We'll have to figure that out. Okay, Don has a question. He says, what does a style definition like? I have to type this out for you guys because he typed it for me. Okay, so he's asking, what does tbody, tr, td, dot custom left mean? Okay, so the way to look at this, this is saying in any tbody, this is generic. This is like HTML tag. So this applies globally. So it doesn't really matter whether you have this here or not. If you take it out, it would mean the same thing. Same thing for the row. The row is, there's always going to be a row associated with any TDs. So it doesn't matter that there's a TD. So the really important part here is this TD with this dot custom left. What this says is that I only want my style. So if I have, say, a color for this TD with this class custom left, I only want to apply it to table cells that have this class. If the table cell does not have it, then it won't affect it. So for example, let's go ahead and change this actually. I'll come here and I'll say, let's see, dot custom left. Okay. So I'll just change one of these guys, right? I'll just change this this yes to, again, I can edit things in this, right? So I can just change it to custom. Let me look at it again. Okay, custom left. Okay. Okay. Then let's see. Did I do this right? Custom left. I'm not sure why this didn't change. Let's see. Let me change one thing first. Let me try without the TD and see what happens. Okay. Okay, I see. Okay, if I have the class name without, it can apply to any element. But if I have it in front of a TD, it only applies to certain TDs with this class on it. I'm not sure why this didn't work. Let me try to add it in to commit it in design mode. So I'm looking at the products page, the products fields, discontinued. Where's that one? Oh, sorry. This is, oh, products fields. Discontinued. Okay, so this guy. So let me add that class let's say instead of table cell value, I have custom left, right? Okay, to rebuild. Okay, refresh. Huh, I don't know why this is still taking so long. So let me go ahead and just run another page. Let's make this the start page. Okay, I'll just run it again. Okay, if I inspect it, let's see. Okay, so so I'm not sure why it didn't work. It worked like this. Oh, okay. Actually, it did work, right? So let me see. Make sure. Yeah. So what it says is it only affects those TDs that have this class on it. The other TDs, right? This is a TD, right? These guys are not affected because there's not a class on it. So I guess to go back to your question, what does this mean? It just means that this property is applied to only those cells that have this class name on it. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Don. Let's see. John says, how do you add a third-party control to the toolbox? Oh, not a CSS question. We'll have to get back to you. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, we have some comments. Good. Tulip says, fantastic, very helpful, good beginning. Thanks, guys. Outstanding webinar. Would like advanced topics from David. Yeah, sure. So Mike says he's a beginner, so this is good for him. Great. And would you consider HTML5 webinar from Rodney? Okay. Yeah, we can do it. So you know how? Okay. Not Jill says not now. So I was going to start the HTML5 webinar, but she says no. Okay. I think she's getting hungry. So am I. Okay. So if you you know how earlier I said that W3 Schools was great as a reference for CSS, right? So it's also a great reference for HTML5. You know, it's used. Do I see it? I don't see it. Okay. So actually, it's the first link. So here will be a list of all the new things you can do with HTML5. I'll leave it to you. Actually, it's kind of long, so I'll leave it to you to look through it. We don't use that many things from here. Like there's a lot of like how to draw 2D graphics on in your application. There's some video and audio embedding facilities. So we don't really use these things in our apps. You're certainly that doesn't prevent you from using it. You know, you can add anything here you like. It'll be supported by the app that you generate from Designer. But we'll probably tend to stick with things like input type. Like with input type, you can start defining what type of text boxes you have, right? So you can start saying these are dates, these are phone numbers, and these are credit card numbers. And if you know this information, the validation of these fields will be a little easier. So probably, not sure. We'll think about it. But we'll have to. It would have to be used more in our generated apps in order to justify doing a webinar on this. Okay. Okay. And then let's see. Okay, the top one. Okay, from Myrna, we have multiple users accessing our app. Any way to dynamically select a CSS based on the login of a program user? We store a CSS name in a program table, do not want to create a new application for each program. Yes. There's two ways. Let's see. So usually, what you will have to do is based on that user, I think you will have to like put the proper style sheets in the app themes folder for that person. I'm not sure. Let's see. I know that this is global, so I'm not sure how you can prevent certain style sheets from being made public to different users. It'll probably be some server-side code that swaps these in depending on the user login. Go ahead and leave your email, and I'll get back to you with the answer for that. But I'm pretty sure it's doable. In Designer, we swap themes easily just by changing the style sheet. So I don't think it will be that difficult to change, swap in style sheets based on user ID. It sounds doable. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Question from EJ. Given a table header which has class THC, I need to override the style in some cases, specifically changing font color and boldness. I created a new style in styles.css called THC mandatory. After I change the style on the column header from THC to THC mandatory and examine the element in Chrome, the file attributes are disabled. The column allows sorting, classic page. Okay. So I think what you're doing is correct. It really depends on where you're defining THC mandatory. So you say you created in styles.css. So it should work. So it's basically what we've been doing in this webinar all along. So again, all the styles are taken from base styles, and then you can add it. So this should work. Go ahead and send me your app, EJ, and I'll take a look at it for you and see what the issue is. But yeah, send it to Jill. But you should be able to inspect it. Let's see.
Somehow THCA is being used on this column from EJ.
Okay, EJ. Okay, so you're saying that THCA is used. Okay, so okay, yes, that's a good point. So what's happening is in Classic, the headers are actual links, right? THC is the style of the cell that contains that link, but there's an additional style. Okay, we can actually look at it. Okay. Okay, so if you have a, let's see, if there's a THCA. So what you're looking for is THCA. Let's see. So THC is that header cell, and then the A is the actual link. Okay. So if you wanted to modify the color, you would change not THC, but the actual link itself. So here's another rule about precedence, right? Usually the parent, the THC, will set the color for an item within the cell. But you can also define styles for the children, right? So in this case, the A link is the child of the THC. So this takes precedence over the parent. So if you wanted to, EJ, if you wanted to change the color of that link, you can just change THC A dot button link, okay? And that should work. Give that a try and let me know if it's okay. Okay? All right. Okay. trying to find easy questions.
Yeah, we're at 2.5 hours.
Okay.
Do you want to just respond privately? I'll
Okay.
add them up for you and give you email
Okay.
addresses, and we can talk about it after.
Okay.
That might be the best way.
There's still quite a few questions here, but we're already at around 2.5 hours. So actually, I'm going to take these offline. I still have about 28 questions or so. I thank you for staying this long. And I hope it's helpful, and we'll do this again in the future. Okay, thanks.